Hard to believe it's 15 years old. The deadCENTER Film Festival recently celebrated 15 years.
I know.
Moving on to the 16 coming up next summer. From the Oklahoman's Video Studio, I'm Dave Morris, joined by Lance McDaniel, former executive director of deadCENTER Film Festival, now the artistic director and the new executive director. Excited to meet you and looking forward to hearing the new things you're bringing to the table. Lissa Gumerson-Blaschke. Did I say that correctly?
That's right.
Close enough?
Perfect. Yeah.
Well, very nice to meet you. Thanks so much, guys, for coming in.
It's great to be here.
It's great to be back.
Lissa, congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Lance.
Thank
and let's
you.
start right there. You were executive director, you moved into artistic director. What does this mean?
Yes, well, so what that means is over the last 5 years, so I've been executive director for 5 years, and I took over from Khaki Porch, who had really, who had taken, our festival started by Justin and Jason Floyd, and then Melissa Scaramucci, Khaki Porch, and Kim Haywood, and Brian Hearn, and people got involved, but Khaki was the executive director and basically led us to our year 10, where we were voted one of the 20 coolest in the world. And so when I started, the challenge was how do we grow it locally and how do we grow the audience? And so we've grown from 10 to 30,000 people in those 5 years, and now we're big enough that 3 people cannot service the 30,000. And in addition to that, we can't service the 178 sponsors that are paying for our festival. And so what we decided last January is we really need to start thinking about how we can restructure so that we can fulfill our mission, which is to promote independent film across Oklahoma. And we've gotten to the point that Kim and I are on the road 3 days a week, so we're out at Guyman, we're in Alva, we're in Miami, so we're all over the state trying to do great things with film. But when you're gone, you can't run your business if you're not there to run it. And so the board and I met all year, and we decided that what we really needed to do was to split the job into artistic director and executive director, and hire a new person to be the executive director. Because as a filmmaker and as someone that's been very involved, I really kind of have a good gig going around to these different festivals and these different schools teaching film classes. But what we need is someone that can actually run the business and grow our business like anyone else. And so we did an extensive search. We had several candidates that were awesome, and the board very quickly focused in on Lissa. And then luckily we met her. They hadn't told us their choice yet. Our staff met her and thought she was a perfect person. So now we'll have our 4th employee, and we believe that Lissa's a perfect person for it. And I know you'll get into her background, but in addition to raising a ton of money and running businesses, she's an awesome person that loves Oklahoma. And fundamentally, everyone that works at deadCENTER is a big fan of this community, and we love giving back to it. And we feel like by adding this 4th person to our staff, we were able to actually engage with the community in a better way.
Talking with Lance and Lissa about deadCENTER doings and moving on to its 16th year this next year. Lance, you're right. That's kind of the buzz every year at this film festival is local, local, local.
Right.
And Lissa, you're from here, Oklahoma City, right?
I am. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City, and left a couple times, and I've always returned home, and now I'm home for good. And so when we moved back, I really just wanted to find a way that I could contribute to my community again. And deadCENTER came along, and it was a great opportunity.
This is a nice opportunity. You went to Cassidy and the University of Oklahoma, so she certainly has the local roots.
I do.
But then what were you doing out in Albuquerque?
Well, my husband, who is also a local Oklahoma Cityan, and he was doing his training, and so he's a physician here, and so we were out there for 7 years, and when he finished, and after 15 years, got a job, I realized I could kind of help get my kids back into their school, and then look for what I really wanted to do and how I wanted to contribute to Oklahoma City.
So how did you know what you really wanted to do? And that changes for everybody as you get older, different interests and stuff, but film?
Well, I love film. Everybody loves film, so it's great to be a part of an organization that appeals to so many people. Prior to being in New Mexico, I worked for the Oklahoma School of Science Mathematics. So my passion is the city and is the state. And if I see an organization that is an asset to it, I really want to help them build and grow. And I was able to do that with the Oklahoma School of Science and Mathematics. And I'm not a scientist or a mathematician, but I am able to tell their story. And so and go out and really build awareness of what they're doing in the community and find funding sources for them. And that's what I hope to do for deadCENTER as well.
Well, you kind of touched on my next question right there. Lance, you mentioned from year 10 to year 15, the focus was really local and growing it. What's the focus now, perhaps in the next 5 years to the 20th?
Well, and we're getting ready to go through a big strategic planning exercise, but I think our main focus is financial stability, so that we can be here 100 years from now. The first 5 years we've got something cool, but is it going to last? And then what Khaki and Melissa and Kim did was kind of take it to the next level, which we became a nationally prominent entity, and that we were getting a lot of national recognition. The last 5 years we grew, and so I think the next 5 is how do we create relationships with corporate foundation and individual sponsors that make them want to engage with us year-round, and then allow us to offer benefits year-round. So we've already gone statewide. Last year we won the Governor's Art Award for our statewide education program. We launched 17 film festivals, and we want to continue that type of outreach. And to do that, well, obviously we need a bigger staff, but the other thing is we want to start focusing on professional development for working filmmakers. I'm a working filmmaker. I'm working on a film right now. There's tons of filmmakers in Oklahoma. Not all of them are going to grad school, and so our thought is, like Sundance, create labs so that we can have an intensive program for screenwriters in Oklahoma, fly in someone from Hollywood, bring in some professors from Oklahoma, and help screenwriters get better at their craft. Then do the same thing for producers, do the same thing for directors, so that we're providing continuing education for professionals working in the film industry here, with the goal that Oklahoma is not going to become a hub for film until we have awesome films coming out of Oklahoma. You know, like, we've got a lot of good ones and a lot of talented people, but no one has created a blockbuster. And what we need is and that's how Austin got it. You know, like Dazed and Confused and some of those movies, Richard Clerks, you know, came out of there. Richard Linklater becomes this big star, and then all of a sudden Austin's a hot film city. I think Oklahoma City can do that too, but it takes filmmakers like me and a bunch of other people getting better at our craft, and so that we're actually reaching a national level with our films.
deadCENTER Film Festival, the 16th version, Wednesday, June 8th through Sunday, June 12th. Submissions already being accepted. You guys are thinking you're going to have like 1,000 submissions?
I think we're going to have 1,200. So yeah, so we were talking about it. We had 1,100 last year, and we already have 200 that have come in. And usually most of them come in towards the end of it, but our submissions just open in September. They're open until February, and you submit online. And so we're very excited, and I think it'll be our biggest year ever. Yeah. It's our Sweet 16, it's gotta be.
Sweet 16, I like that. You mentioned something I was curious about. We're talking about the deadCENTER Film Festival, but deadCENTER is more than just the festival itself, and you guys are working from the business side, from the artistic side of the year-round programs. You touched on that a little bit, but perhaps people are not quite aware of.
Exactly, and so part of it was, and we're looking at our branding as well, because people do say, oh, you're a one-weekend event. Yeah. The reality is 90% of our resources and our time is spent year-round, not at the festival, but rather on launching these smaller festivals in smaller towns, and then doing education. We visit 30 high schools every fall, and then we do, you know, this fall break we'll do our second annual film seminar for homeless kids at the City Rescue Mission, because during fall break and spring break we noticed there was a need, because we're next to the rescue mission. So we're like, okay, well, there's kids in there that are doing nothing that we might as well do a free camp for, and so we did. And so our goal is to look into the community and see how we can be of benefit. And the same thing with the Black Film Festival. We realized that we had a lot of diverse films, but our audience wasn't as diverse as it needed to be, and so we worked with a lot of existing organizations that work with the African American community and created this Black History Month Film Festival so that we could do outreach, and every single film sold out, all the seminars sold out. What we realize is, yeah, if you bring people what they want, then they'll participate. And so for our art forum, I think it's important for us to explore that, and the only way to do that is to have someone like Lissa, who actually is running our business and is also creating partnerships with schools and with people that want to work with us. So
and that frees up Lance's time to do really what he does best. So.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And so and to your question, Kim Haywood has been with the festival for 13 years, and she's in charge of education and programming, and so she actually works with these smaller festivals and helps them program their festivals. So she's giving them access to different filmmakers and giving them recommendations. She also provides the films that are played at H&H, the films that are played at the Fred Jones Museum of Art. We used to do it for the Mozart Festival in Bartlesville, and then we still do a festival in Ardmore. And so all of that is year-round programming that is done by Kim Haywood in our office, and she's been doing that for several years. You know, so.
Talking with Lance and Lissa from deadCENTER. And Lissa, in the time that you left to the time that you came back, how much has Oklahoma City changed? And I ask that from a business standpoint, as it's a different business mindset here, I think now, more supporting local stuff. But from your perspective, how much has it changed, and how much does that help you out, perhaps?
Well, I mean, it's a different city. It really is. When I left, it was very different, and it's exciting to come back. I think there's always been a great history of philanthropy in Oklahoma, especially through businesses, and I saw that especially when I went somewhere else, and I realized, you know, how much our community comes together to support each other, and so I'm really excited to be back and be able to get back into that, because I think there's huge potential for deadCENTER and for Oklahoma City.
Potential. Perhaps we need to have a screening out on our big screen. You know, have a night somehow take over the street corner, and, you know, hey, everybody, bring out your lawn chair. I'm not saying this is happening, by the way. I'm just saying there's potential. Right, you know, like you mentioned, there's some creative ideas there. What about you? Filmmaker? Do you shoot film? What sort of films do you like?
I'm not a filmmaker. I do love films. I like a lot of independent films too. I have 2 young kids, so I don't get to the theaters often, but I do watch a lot, you know, Netflix, and that's a great place to watch independent films. And again, like I said, I wasn't a scientist or mathematician, but I love people and I love this community, and I actually love film. So it's the first time I'm going into a position where I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited about it.
And that makes all the difference when you're having fun.
Oh yeah, it does. It's going to be great,
well,
especially with these guys.
Well, and one thing about that is we were very consciously not looking for someone with film experience. And so when we met with the board, we started talking about this in January. And so, so we spent a ton of time trying to figure out what is the exact kind of person we need, and what we realized is we need a business person. We need someone who is in development, that has run foundations, that knows how nonprofits work, that wants to engage with the business community, because what our film focus needs to be is projected outward. And so we're projecting film, we're leading education, we're doing programming, all of that, but we don't need every person on staff to have the same skill set.
Right.
You know, and I mean, the fact that I'm lucky and that I'm kind of artistic and business-wise, which is the film industry. You know, it's a creative business. But we felt like to really succeed moving forward, we needed someone that was actually purely focused on the business side and didn't have to have making their own film to be, you know, to be qualified, because that would have alleviated a lot of people.
And they've obviously done such a good job at that they've grown so much. I mean, they don't need more of that. So I'm glad they need more of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you out of here on this, Lance. What are you working on now? What's the film that you're working on?
Well, I am currently the first assistant director on a movie called Great Plains that is getting ready to start shooting next Wednesday, and that is Blair Hayes is the director of that, and it's a story that was written by an Oklahoma guy about growing up here, and he and his mother kind of on a road trip, and it'll be great. And then I've just finished a short film that we're going to start applying to a bunch of festivals called Swirl, and I did that with a band from ACM and the choreographer He-Cha Poos from UCO with race dance, and it's a story all told through dance. So
very nice.
Yeah, should be fun.
All right, very good. Lance and Lissa from deadCENTER. Guys, Lissa, very nice to meet you.
Nice
Lance,
to meet you.
always
Great
good to see
seeing
you.
you.
Thanks for stopping by today.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
for
Best
having
of
us.
luck moving forward.
Great.
Thank you.